Today on Community Watch, my guest is Lisa Smith, who is the Executive Director for Tourism for Rome, but actually way beyond Rome, county, state, there's no end to it. Great conversation. You don't want to miss this show. Community Watch starts now. Welcome to Community Watch. I'm John Hershey, and I am thrilled to have a person that should not need to be introduced, but I will introduce Lisa Smith,
Aw.
Executive Director of Tourism for Rome, Georgia. Is that right? Is that the title?
That sounds good to me.
It doesn't seem big enough for you.
It's plenty big enough.
All right, so there are so many things to talk about, but you know, one thing that I thought would be a way to begin is just to talk about, and I know this is a tribute to how well you do your job, but I think the average Roman has no idea that we have a tourism board or a group that manages all of the activities that they enjoy in the area, and a lot more that they're not aware of that goes on. I mean, it's just really a massive endeavor. It is a huge thing.
It is.
So maybe we can begin by just kind of explaining some of the things that you and your group do and have to do for every single event that comes to Rome.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's nice to know that we are behind the scenes and that we're actually able to make and help to make the marketing magic happen. Especially what we enjoy here is quality of life. And that's what it means, it boils down to for the local citizens. Bringing in the visitors, of course, means that we enjoy a better quality of life because they are infusing new money into our community. And of course, they leave that money and they go on about their lives. So we are an economic generator for the city of Rome, for Cave Spring, and for the Floyd County and the state of Georgia. Because when a tourist comes, they also have sales tax involved, and of course a percentage of that sales tax stays here, and a percentage goes to the state. So we are a full-service bureau, and it's basically from everything. We are destination marketers, so we market all the events going on. We help with events. We help the standard operating procedure of events, especially as they are impacting our roadways, need public safety, need public, any kind of public access with public works. So it's been an amazing job. It has shaped itself through having such a pretty, gorgeous, and wonderful community to sell. And we sell to the world, and I do not say that as a joke. We literally sell Rome, Georgia, and Floyd County to the world, and we do it every single day.
So, well, first of all, how large is your staff?
Mm-hmm. So we have two operations, main operations, which are visitor centers and gift shops. So as far as a full-time staff, it's 10 people. Mm-hmm. And then we have a lot of volunteers that we utilize, but we also have a lot of part-time floaters because that's a lot of hours to cover with both of those. And then we have people who specialize in certain things, such as the History Center. So there's a whole staff that's actually under the tourism umbrella with the History Center. There's the Roman Chariot folks who drive. So probably in all, if we sat down and started counting, we probably have about 30 folks who make that happen every day. We have trolley drivers. When we managed the Roman holiday, we had the boat captains and the first maids. Of course, that's now being managed through the Eco Center. And of course, the operations of the sports tourism, tour guides, and those kind of folks. And we are actually under the auspices we are quasi-city and county government, but we're under the auspices of a board of directors. And there's 20 of those people that sit and meet monthly and hear about the business of tourism and are able to weigh in on the business of tourism, and pretty much are our ambassadors that can take our message back out. Most everything we do, we work, as you well know, year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years out.
So is there a measure of how much tourism is contributing to the local economy?
So there's 2 measures. There's the measure that we actually touch in our office. Either we provide a service, we register, we bid on it, we service it when it gets here, meaning brochures and going and welcoming them or getting them public safety or whatever that may be. And then there's the SIC codes, which are the state and tax codes that are used to also measure tourism. It's basically the tax codes that are the traditional spend of a tourist. And so that number with the state, when the state sends our number in, is of course much larger than what we're physically touching. So we have 2 different measures, but those are measured in real spend, real dollars. And we do not put multipliers on what we calculate, and the state does not do multipliers on what they calculate. The multiplier being that dollar that's spent by that tourist, that traveler, will roll over in our community 3.5 to 5 times. So it's given to someone as a tip, and then that person takes it to the grocery store, then that grocery, so you can see how that works. So we try to stay very conservative with our numbers.
So what is the percent of our economic existence locally that is tourism?
Okay, so basically around 149 million.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Is that, and annually is what you're talking? That's a lot.
And we have continued to grow, which is fabulous for us. And even during COVID, we still had not the dramatic drop that a lot of destinations had, because we are medical. We had the National Guard here staying in our hotels, so we were over national average in our hotel rooms. We had the physicians here taking care of the medical needs. So it's been very interesting. And then, of course, as you know, our governor opened up outdoor activities before a lot of states around us. So then we started influxing all of a sudden with outside activities, with golf that couldn't be played in other places, with tennis tournaments that couldn't be played in other places. So all of a sudden, we were very much still relevant during COVID. So it's been a great increase and it's been a great ride. It really has. And it's wonderful because we know that the word of mouth that goes back out of here from somebody's experience, because you are made to feel special here. And that's why I think a lot of times when we bid on something, and bidding is something we do very regularly, or we scout something, I think you're not a small fish here, you're a big fish. So, and you're made to feel special.
Yeah. So the process interests me of how an event gets here. Do you and your staff go out and reach out to events, or do folks find out about us and reach out to you? I mean, how?
It's a two-way street, which is nice. It's a lot about relationships. Our whole office is all about relationships. And either this runs through your veins and you exude it as your passion, or you don't work in tourism. I mean, it's really simple. We are about relationships. So we've worked trade shows, we've worked sports shows, we've worked other things, word of mouth. Anybody who comes and does something here, we're your new friend, and they're our new friend. And then it's, what else can we do for you? What else can we get here? What else are you touching that we can bring here that would be the perfect fit? So it's exciting because we have a new challenge amongst us that's coming, which is the reopening of the forum. And so that'll be kind of reaching back in some archives and pulling back out some names and files and saying, hey, guess what? We really want to host you in our community again. So it's really both. It's by marketing, it's by the relationships we have, it's by starting new relationships. Very rarely do we cold call. I get a lot of cold calls back to me, but very rarely do we ever cold call.
So, and I guess every different type of event has needs of their own. But what are some of the things that you use to sell an event or sell Rome to an event or the event organizers?
First and foremost is, can we handle them and it be comfortable and fabulous? So obviously the size of a group or a person that's wanting to bring an event, concert, sporting event, meeting, it's got to fit. So it's got to be the right fit. We're not trying to make everybody this cookie cutter stamp thing where everybody has to fit in this hole. Can we accommodate them? Can we actually make that experience for that traveler that's going to spend their money to come and do whatever be the best? And that's all the processes that goes through. So a lot of that's sitting around, just like we're doing, and talking, either with that person or with the staff, saying, what all can we do to make this experience even better for them? And then who do we get involved? All of our stakeholders, the police, the medical side of business, if you need ambulances or trainers, a crowd control, EMA, fire department. I mean, there's so many different, depending upon the event. Do we need a plan to what happens if we have bad weather? So it's a great process. It's tedious. That's one reason we standardize the standard operating procedure to come out of our office, that people actually apply and can make sure that their checklist is also what they need and then what they expect, and that they'll get and will service them exactly that through their expectations. Our best customer is somebody who has had a great situation here, with no matter what it is, and a big success. So it's across the board. It's from everything from a motor coach to a motorcycle group to a bicycle group to a running group, to tennis to football. We have 2 big football events that we actually touch and bring and are in charge of here. So it's always different. Every group is different. That's why I think it's so important that we get to know them and start a relationship with them first, so that every expectation is managed.
Well, what is the biggest event you've had to bring in, or is there one that?
In the history of doing a multi-day event would be what I would think is our biggest. That was Tour de Georgia. That was huge.
Yeah.
It was huge. The impact, the celebrity power that went with it. It was a lot of moving parts, and I'm very proud that we were able to do that and do it for multi-years. We were the only location that had it back to back for 5 years. The only location.
That's great.
So Tour de Georgia was definitely the biggest. What are some of the heartstring ones? It was probably what Ann worked on with Make-A-Wish Foundation with a movie, and then the para events that we work on, which is hand cycling, wheelchair tennis. Right. Those are the heartstrings. Yeah. Anytime we work in whether it's movie production or it's a meeting, there's always, you see how everyone rallies for the common. There's no barriers. We're all focused on the best for everybody, and that's just a positive end of day thing. Yeah. Some of the tougher ones I think are the movie shoots when we have road closures, even though they're usually quick. Those are the ones that are really a lot of fine tuning has to take place and a lot of communication. I think the fact that we have to work so far out makes a lot of challenges, because you're counting on these businesses to still be here when you're doing something 5 years out. You're counting on that convention center to be there. You're counting on these properties, these hotels. And of course, on the note of hotels, you said, what are the things that bring people here? It's everything. There is no way to brand Floyd County with one word. There's no way.
We're coming up on our break.
Okay.
All right, so I've got like 80 more questions that just came to my mind, but we'll get to some of them. Talking with Lisa Smith. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
You belong at Georgia Highlands College. As a University System of Georgia college, GHC offers high quality and career focused instruction at a fraction of the cost, with over 40 programs to choose from, including 8 career targeted bachelor's degrees. With small class sizes and personalized attention, our programs are designed to help you achieve your goals and make a positive impact in your community. So, what are you waiting for? You belong at Georgia Highlands College.
Welcome back to Community Watch. I'm having a conversation with Lisa Smith, who is the Executive Director of Tourism for what sounds like the world. I think locally in particular, but beyond. During the break, you mentioned wanting to clarify where your funding comes from. So let's do that.
Sure.
Where does your funding come from?
So anytime you travel and you stay in an Airbnb, VRBO, hotel, motel, whatever it may be, an inn, you pay hotel motel tax on top of sales tax. Hotel motel tax is designed to fund the destination marketing organization in that community. And that is what our Office of Tourism is. And so we are funded by hotel motel tax. In easy layman's term, heads and beds. And so we've had great changes in that has happened. It used to be that only the hotels were remitting to the local, so the city clerk and the county clerk's office. Now, because of legislation that was passed, primarily because of Rome attorneys actually going and fighting the online companies for them to actually collect and remit back to the communities their hotel motel tax. And then, of course, they went after the Airbnb and the VRBO through legislation for them to remit as well, so that it evens out the playing field for everybody as far as people who are innkeepers. So because of that, we have seen a large uptick in our budget. Which is nice, because that just means that we can put more programming out there, do better things, bigger things, and make sure that we're covering everything that we need to do. So it is hotel motel tax.
Yeah.
And just so you know, we're at the max here. We're at 8% here in the city, and the county and Cave Spring are at 6%. 2% of that 8 is a dedicated tax that helps with the operations of the Rome Tennis Center and the Downtown Racket Center. 1% goes towards the forum for operating, and that's by legislation. And then the balance of that comes to the Destination Tourism Office.
So, I mean, you're generating your own.
Yes, we make our own money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's one of the reasons that we, you can say we're a department of the city and the county, but we're truly unique because we do make our own money.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. So it's a
Yeah.
it's a guilt-free expense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good news expense, really,
It
because
is.
it's not just the tax money.
That's right.
It's money for every restaurant
Mm-hmm.
and
It's the greater good.
yeah. So
And saying that, there's quite a few VRBO and Airbnb properties now that have popped up in Rome and Floyd County. But I tell you what, we are in great need of are more hotel rooms. And so there's several projects on the books right now, which I'm excited about, because we are in desperate need of getting more rooms so that we can continue to bid on bigger projects. When you look at a 900 or a 700 person tournament, for example, and they want to have at least half or more of that in rooms that you guarantee for 4 days, it gets kind of dicey.
Yeah.
Because no matter, most of our hotels are under 100 rooms. I have 2 that are not. And they're not going to give you 100% of their rooms. They still have a clientele that they have to also take care of.
Right.
So it's becoming a real balance act of how we make that happen. So the fact that there's some movement in the hotel industry, the last one that was built, of course, was built to support the tennis center, which has done a great job. And so it's nice to see that movement come back to Rome and Floyd County.
Bringing that up, I don't know that people realize that the hotels are really there to help everyone. I mean, it's not just for those who stay in the hotel. It's not just for the hotel to make money, but everybody that stays in a hotel spends money elsewhere.
That's right.
And it's good for for everyone.
It is.
So,
It is. It's a big job supporter. There's a lot of layers of employment in a hotel, especially depending on what services they offer. But it is a much needed thing here, and I'll share a sweet story about my dad. He was like, Lisa, honest to goodness, I don't know why we have all these hotels. So clearly, to your first opening point, we didn't even know we had a tourism office. We are on the weekends almost always sold out. And you're talking almost 1,000 sellable rooms. And when I have to start sending people to other communities, like during a large tennis tournament that recently happened, because we already had a lot of our rooms occupied by other events going on, that hurts. Now I'm glad I can help my local county folks that are in surrounding areas with me, but it does not necessarily, we've just sent that money out.
right.
So that's one reason I say we need more hotels. For the most part, we are anywhere from, depending on the flag, which is the brand, anywhere from 60 to 80% in the week, depending if they're more geared towards business travel or not.
Right. Now, you mentioned earlier planning 5 years out. Is that, I mean, that, I didn't even think about that, about how far ahead, how far in advance some of these events are planned.
Because no one's planning to bring a meeting to you next week.
Right.
Yeah. So nobody's planning, like we have to bid against, we have competition, obviously. Everybody has competition, makes us better. We have to bid against competition, and they already know we've got to have a plan where we know we're going south, north, west, east, or whatever it may be. So yeah, we bid 5 years out. My calendar, which I should have brought, is a 5-year calendar that I carry.
Well, that just multiplies, in my mind, the burden of, although I don't think you would call it a burden, but the burden of having to juggle so much. Because that's what, I mean, you're a master juggler.
It is. And making sure everybody's pleased and happy and everybody is fulfilled. And that's our job, because if I don't do my job right, they're not going to have the experience we want them to talk about when they go home. So that's the most important part. And it is the ambassadors too that are at filling stations and taking care of people at restaurants and in all aspects of our, the front desk of our service industry, which is a very large industry here in Rome. That's the experience those people are going to remember. And so there are ambassadors as well.
So your job and the job of your team does not, I mean, it's not simply the booking of the event. You manage them to a certain degree, while they're in town. So that's got to be a big part of it too. I guess troubleshooting, but also making sure they're aware of all the different places in town that they can go and how to spend their time and money.
And it's kind of funny. I mean, it's such a broad stroke. So we take care of servicing weddings, which are very big business here because we have so many venues. Destination weddings are a very large part of our service industry. We take care of family reunions. So it's sometimes some of the smaller things you don't think of. The class reunions that happen here constantly, we will probably either do some kind of a gift or some kind of welcome packets or something. We also handle relocations. So relocations of individuals. Hey, I need info because I'm thinking about moving there. Especially if we're in a more of a leisure magazine with a print ad, or if somebody does a segment on us, then all of a sudden you just see the 800 number in the email start pouring in for information about where to live and what to do. We, again, are full service. We try to touch every aspect of our community. The fabulous thing is, if you don't need our help with anything, but you want to get your word out there, we have a free events calendar. And that's where the media goes to pull interesting stories or bites from. So you can place your event on there for free. And of course, we'll push it out in our social media because we're on all the platforms. So what I have found, the biggest shift in 26 years for the office, since I've been on the Hill, is that sales department has gotten a little bit smaller because I like doing the sales too.
Yeah.
So, but the marketing department has grown
Yeah.
really big because of getting that word out. We still do, and I wish I'd brought one, we still do print collateral because people still want that in their hand. We, don't ask me how, but ever since I've been on the Hill, we actually print the huge, gigantic county map with the street directory. And when I did the veterans event the other day at the Civic Center with that group from Atlanta, which was so successful, that is the #1 piece that we handed out.
That's great.
I know.
Yeah.
And we did that as a joint effort with the Chamber of Commerce. We met with Missy and Pam. Missy, of course, is over the Economic Development Office. Pam is at the Chamber. And said, what do you need in this document? We've got to do it. You tell us. You don't have to pay for the space. Tell us what you want. So we have the industrial parks in there. It was wonderful to see what their needs were individually, and then all of us work together to put something that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Our map is great, and they're free. They're free.
Well, I need to get one because I'm frequently lost.
People love having that map. We have visitor guides. We mail out still, snail mail out. We also can email out files when people want to see like our facility guide, which is huge. So that's sometimes a little easier to email it. We still have a 1-800 number, which people crack up about that. It's still used. Okay, so they decided to take it offline. The city just couldn't. Oh, nobody uses 1-800 numbers. So they cut it. All of a sudden, my email starts blowing up. Your 800 number doesn't work. I call and they're like, well, nobody uses them. I'm like, somebody's using them. That's why they're emailing me saying what happened. So we actually still have an 800 number, and so does Stonebridge. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. You mentioned that the forum is returning.
Yes.
So
Exciting.
that's going to add an important venue. Are venues an issue in this area?
There's size venues that are an issue. We've got a lot of lots of beautiful spaces for lease, for rent, that are of certain size. But when you look at something the size of the forum, there's nothing, unless you want to go outdoors. So to have that back in our inventory is really exciting.
Yeah.
It is. It is very exciting. I am looking forward to how that plays out and how much that at scale, especially the economy comes back. I think we talked in the break, y'all haven't really seen a big difference, but I think when we start bringing stuff back, you'll be like, whoa, oh yeah. This I remember, how it felt on concert nights or a comedian night or whatever it may be, at the circus, bull riding, whatever that event may be that's there. And then I think the important thing will be how we augment and coexist with having 2 new venues, basically, because the forum's been closed for a while, the forum, and then when the Ag Center comes up out of the ground. So how do they coexist and help each other?
Where is that going to be?
The Ag Center
Yeah.
is behind the mall.
Okay.
They have closed on that property as a county splost, although I like saying it's all of our splost. So the Ag Center will be coming up out of the ground, hopefully in a couple of years. And I think that's going to give us a new venue to sell and a new purpose and a new way to think about things and a new way to maybe not bring dirt into the forum, but all of a sudden you already have the surface that you need for certain things like bull riding. So to me, every day that I wake up here, it's almost like I need to pinch myself when I get to the office. It's that good.
Well, we're out of time, Lisa.
It's been fun. Thank you so much. I'm so
We haven't-
honored you asked me
We
to
haven't even
come.
talked about the film stuff. We'll have to do that. That could be a whole show.
It could
right?
be, and I'll bring Ann with me when we do
All
that,
right,
because she
all
and I
right.
scout together.
Okay. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for being on the show. Lisa Smith.
I have a great team, so thank you for having me.
And thank you for being with us on Community Watch. We will see you next time. Bye now.